Hello everyone, Lead here. So I finished my campaign and I'm now at early mapping. And I do miss a video yesterday, so I skipped the video when I finished my campaign, and the reason for that one is because a lot of I do a lot of change and I'm not really happy with the setup. So I rather do a video when I have the setup that I'm happy with, and then I can share with all of you. Let's talk about what I changed from the setup. So yesterday in my previous video I used all reaver and it does works well. It does have a very good DPS. Then I encounter a few problems, and that is when I met a big pack of monster. I relied solely on SRS and the hellhound to clear the packs. But the problem is sometimes it can get out of hand. I try to look around and then I try arsonist, skeleton arsonist, because skeleton arsonist the attack have some sort of like AoE and it does able to shotgun. So I switched all the reaper into arsonist and it does solve the problem. So I decided to run with full arsonist for a while, but then after a while I decided to change things a little bit. I try a half reaver, half arsonist. Most of them is reaver, some arsonist, something like that. So I end up with this ratio over here. So I like to have 2 reaver and then the rest of it will be arsonist. And the reason for the 2 reaver is number one, reaver still very good at applying armor break. So that is like increased DPS for everyone. And then the second reason is more on the defensive measure. So when I'm mapping, I will have 2 reaver and 2 skeletal warrior from my scepter. They will be the one who between me and the enemy. When the enemy come, they will tank them first. Now sometimes there is an enemy that's going to pass through, but because we do have a really good source of DPS, usually it's not a problem. So the case for me being offrun is now basically non-existent. That's the reason why I like the 2 skeleton reaver over there, and the skeleton reaver is still deal a pretty decent DPS. So I like to keep at least 2 reaver on the team. So let's talk about the skill gem first. Number one, this is the skeletal warrior from the scepter. I'm still using envenom and corrosions. This is just to apply some armor break, but you can use something like last caps. That's also going to work. This part is not really that important, I will say, because most of the time skeletal warrior is just being a mid shield between you and the enemy. And for the hellhound, I do change the skill gem a little bit. You will get gem slot the more you level, so basically you get like a free 5 or 6 link with the hellhound. So the first gem is magnified effect. This will be increasing the AoE ignite from the hellhounds, and then the second one will be culling strike, and I also socket in fiery death, and this will work really well with the culling strike. So whenever an ignite enemy getting killed, which is always going to be ignite because the ignite from the hellhound is AoE, they have a 60% chance to explode, so this will help clearing out the small monster. And the last one is fire exposure, and the hellhound so far is doing a pretty good job maintaining the fire exposure. And the next one is summarizing spirit. This is still a big part of the DPS. So we got infernal legions, minion instability, and feeding frenzy. The socket and the gem is still basically the same. And then I have firestorm. Firestorm is basically just to start the automation process. We do have the automation process for the summarizing spirits. And how to automate that is with cast on minions dead. So basically when we cast this one, it will spawn a bunch of SRS, and when the SRS die, it will cast flame wall and it will bring up bunch of SRS back again. And this is how the SRS going to keep summoning and over again. So this is how I got the automation started. And the reason why I having the flame firestorm over here is because sometimes because you need your minion to die first if you only relying on the custom minion death, and something that can be annoying. So I just put the firestorm here with arcane tempo, so I can cast it faster, and this will basically starting the whole automation things about the SRS. This one is not really mandatory, and you does spend 60 spirit on it. In my opinion, I like it because it make me don't have to care about one thing, so I can focus on another one. But if you do not want to use this one, you can just use the firestorms, and it can spawn the SRS just fine. So this one is not mandatory, but I like to do it this one. But I like to have it, especially on bosses. I can just spawn the SRS and the SRS will do their thing, and they will automatically keep hitting the boss. I don't have to care about them. So that's about the automation for the SRS. Now the next one is the reaver. The reaver, I'm using brutality and heavy swing to get as much physical damage as possible, and that will translate into more armor break by Splinter. And the skeleton arsonist, I'm using scattershot. This will give them 2 projectile, and all the projectile able to shotgun. So this is why the scattershot is really good on here. And the second one is martial tempo, so the arsonist can attack faster. And the arsonist is the attack type, it's not a spell type, as you can check on the minion tab over here. The firebomb, this is an attack, it's not a spell. Like attack per second is 1.16 and so on and so forth. And for the last one, I put in immolate. This will give 30% damage as extra fire damage. You can also use fire mastery if you already have one, or you can use something like minion mastery or something like that. In the end of the day, you want to push the level of the minion as high as possible. And the next one, pain offering, is still the same. I'm using pain offering with front of rage. This will give the ally rage. And new setup is Eye of Winter. And the reason why I'm using Eye of Winter is not for the chill, it's not for the freeze, it's for the critical weakness on hit. Because I do try the critical node, and I think the critical node is pretty good. So I paired them with control destructions. This one that doesn't really matter. It's probably better to use like less projectile speed, because you will spew out more projectile that way, if I remember correctly how Eye of Winter works. And the second one is Unleash. And the reason why I'm putting Unleash here because I do not want to spam it. And the reason why I'm casting the Eye of Winter is just so I can apply the critical weakness on hit. And the last one will be Flammability, is still the same thing. Inspiration to reduce mana cost, and heightened curse to increase the effect of the curse. So that's about the skill gems. And the next one, let's talk about the passive tree, because I do change the passive tree for quite a bit. And I think I spent a lot of gold on this one. So I moved things a little bit. I especially now travel in the middle, because I do take this critical node over here and the critical node over here. They are pretty good, and especially if you combine them with Eye of Winter critical weakness on hit, that is really they do hit really hard. And for this one, I do take some accuracy for the arsonist, because the arsonist is range and you kind of need accuracy to keep them in check. For the defensive layer, I do in the end take this battery. This will convert all the energy into mana, and I'm taking Mind Over Matters. That's mean all your damage will be taken from mana first before life, but you do have less mana recovery. So I take bunch of this node to get mana recovery, and this one is damage recoup as mana. This one is really important if you want to use Mind Over Matters. And this will make your mana not miserable, because I tried before this node. It feels a little bit rough when you get hit too much. But after you get this node, the mana recovery should feels pretty good. This node over here is really good. The minions regen 3% life per second. This is basically what keeps my minions alive for very long time. So far, some of them die from time to time, but I almost never running out of minions. So this node is really good in my opinion. And this node is just for the regenerations, and I do take some mana over here. And if I need more mana regeneration, there is two nodes over here. This is 35% increased mana regeneration rate. So this one is pretty good 2-pointer. And I do take this node over here, minion life, minion damage. And yeah, other than that, the skill tree, I think I already tried to be as efficient as I can be. And there's probably somewhere they have to solve around here. But the problem is, this is 3 node over here. I can move this and save 1 point. But the problem is right now, I kind of very tight on attributes. And this is one problem that I face when I doing the build. One thing I can suggest, do not go for hyper if you do not have decent amount of attributes. And for me, I just lucky to found this body armor, which already have strength in it, so equipping it is not that hard. But if you can, I think it's better to just go for like pure ES, so you can focus the attribute on intelligence alone. You're probably still going to need strength and dexterity for the gem, but the gem requirement for attribute is usually lower than the items requirement. So like, let's say this one is 67, and something like Brutality only require 40, so it's a lot lower. I'm also get very lucky with this one. It hit all the attributes that I need, so this basically kind of enabled the builds. And yeah, I think that's about the passive tree. And for the Ascendency, it's still the same, Hellhound and Alter Fresh. I haven't done the third Ascendency, and this is because I just found it. I haven't done it yet. I will do this one after this, and the third one probably will go to the beta wheel, so I can get more spirit. And if I can get more spirit, I can get more minions, and that's mean more DPS. Now let's talk a little bit about early mapping. This will be not like a full guide for mapping, because there will be probably a dedicated video for that one, but this is just a quick tips for it. And number one is you can 3-2-1 your maps. So let me grab this one. So if you go over here, there is a reinforcing bench, and this one you can put the 3 map over here. If you put 3 tier 1, and you will get one tier 2. So if you have a lot of tier 1 drops, then you can basically make them into tier 2, so you can keep progressing the quest, because when you get into mapping, you can see over here, you have to complete 10 maps of every tier, and I'm still at tier 3. So that's number 1. And the next one is the passive point for the Atlas tree. This is probably one thing that people are going to ask for. The number 1 node that I'm going for is the constant crossroad, and this is going to increase the number of waystone that I get. And this one node over here, it will keep giving me chance for the waystone to be higher and higher, so I can keep progressing. Now I still don't know where I want to go in the end, but the first 4 nodes, this is probably what I recommend. So this is just a quick tip for the Atlas tree, because waystone, you do not want to run out of waystone, and you want your waystone to be go up in tier more and more. But yeah, I will make a separate video about this one when I actually get enough point to like kind of play around with it. But for the first 4 nodes, this is what I will recommend to do. And the next one is on the map itself. If we switch to the endgame over here, as you can see, there's a node over here. This is expeditions, and you can click the node over here. There's an eye over here, and you can click. It will give you all what the icon means, so you can understand what's going on. So far, what node that I'm going for is expeditions and the map bosses, because they often drop exalted orbs, chaos orbs, something like that, a currency that I need to trade. Delirium is also not that bad. I think this is Delirium's, and Bridge. Bridge is not, I haven't done Bridge too much, because the last time I tried Bridge, the build is still not there, so I'm having hard times. So I probably will have to try Bridge again, but the Delirium one is pretty easy to do. And you also do not have to clear all the Deliriums to actually get the Distill Emotion. So Delhi is one good thing you can do too. And the next one is probably rituals. I don't have the ritual right now. Kind of have to find it first. But ritual also often give chaos orb and exalted orbs, and it's also sometimes have a really good item. So ritual, if your build can do it, it's actually pretty good. I think that's all the tip for the end games. I will try to progress more, and when I found something new, I will make a video about it, so you guys to let you guys know. So I think that's it for me today, and thank you everyone for watching. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. That will help the channel a lot, and I will see you in the next one.